Gridiron Warriors take the field in an epic battle that is larger than life. It is called Texas High School Football. Only one show can bring the greatest sport from the greatest state into focus. Lone Star Gridiron.
StarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.
Wow. What a finish. I'm Chris Daly, joined with Brett Swinney. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing a lot better after that third game, Chris. I was just hoping we'd get a good one today. Those first two were not so competitive.
Yeah.
But this one was just as everyone thought it would be.
Oh, yeah. It was one of those Clash of the Titans, came down to the last second, just like two of the last three they've had.
And Duncanville to take a couple of knees here, and this one will be over.
Yeah.
So, there's Sample's title. I'm just going to go ahead and say DOE, Chris. Dallas over everything. They take South Dallas.
It's interesting how you claim Dallas when all the East Texas boys are gone.
Carthage. Well, it's in our area. I mean, it's closest.
It's in our area. Well, it's in our state. We could just say that. Yeah, it's funny, but everybody does that. They just like, yay, Dallas, when Dallas does a sweep. But when the Centex sweeps or when the East Texas sweeps or when Houston sweeps, nobody ever says that.
Yeah, well, take what you can get.
Right. All right, well, let's talk about the games. So let me find my graphics here. So, had our first game, Aledo taking on College Station, a rematch of 2017 when College Station upset them. This one, not so much.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, Aledo, they Carthaged them is what I want to say. I mean, they just came out and just dominated. I mean, I could tell from, like, the first couple plays that they just were overmatched. Yeah. You could just tell every play was positive. Even when they didn't pick up a huge chunk, it was 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. Like, everything was moving forward. College Station just had no answer. And honestly, it was a shutout until, they pulled their players off.
Those 14 points are trash points. So it was definitely a shutout. One thing I noticed today, and I see this every year when we get to the fourth day, the speed of everything is so much faster.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. I mean, Aledo, I was impressed with the Haney kid. He had an incredible day. He could throw and pass and whatever he needed to do. I mean, throw and running, whatever he needed to do, he did it. It was a clinic. That's what happened there.
Yeah, definitely. And then when you look at the DeSoto Vandegrift game, DeSoto had that speed. Vandegrift had a little bit of it, but not as many.
Yeah, in that game, to me, even though the score wasn't as bad as the other game, it was DeSoto did whatever they wanted. Honestly, it was. I mean, Vandegrift got some scores early. Once DeSoto got clicking, I mean, you could really tell the difference of the talent on the field. That DeSoto just had more playmakers and more talent on the field.
And shortly after halftime, it was like 24-17, and I'm like, how is Vandegrift staying in this thing?
Yeah.
And then that's when the wheels fell off and they finally stopped staying in it.
Yeah, you definitely could tell that it should have been a lot bigger gap there. And it was a matter of time before DeSoto, kind of pulled ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Man. And then you got the one that just finished. Well, it almost finished, but
it is final now officially.
It's pretty well finished.
Yeah. They're.
And I tell you, Duncanville never trailed in this one, which was kind of rare.
Yeah, they came out at first, and I was like, okay, Duncanville, They came out and got 14 points there unanswered early. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, well, maybe this is Duncanville's year. Well, and then North Shore comes back, answers that 14, ties it up.
Yep.
And then it was back and forth from then on. To me, the difference that I saw, the Simmons kid from
Yep.
Duncanville,
Yep.
he was unstoppable in the second half. He pretty much got to the quarterback at will there, especially in those late in the fourth quarter when they were trying to move it, minus the last drive.
Yeah, with the exception of the final drive by Galena Park, you're right. Number 8 was in the backfield, and it didn't matter who he went up against on the offensive line for North Shore. He beat him. I mean, he destroyed them, and he was in Amador's face before he could even start to think about what to do. He never got to look downfield for a receiver at all.
Yeah, no, it was more like a matter of how long it was going to take him to get there. He was going to be in the. I know Amador is probably going to be having nightmares about him tonight. I mean, he was all on his face the entire second half, had no breathing room. He was able to get by on that last drive and use his feet to get around him, and that was really the only way that North Shore was successful there late in the game was the QB scrambles. Just didn't have enough time to get any kind of pass off.
Right.
You saw all that pressure from the up front of Duncanville.
Yeah, early on he was able to do some passing, but once it was either hand the ball off to 34 or he run, they became predictable. That was the problem. It was easy to defend against that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely was. Should have Corey and Vince here in just a minute.
Cool. So let me ask you this: what was your favorite game or moment from the entire 4 days?
I don't know. I'm going to be a sap and go with this last. Just Samples getting his title.
Nice.
I think as a coach, I had over 300 wins in the state of Texas, and to be there 4 times and come up short to finally get that one. And I think they kind of talked about on air. Will he go out on top? Will he retire and go out on top? I think that's probably the next question. He'll probably take some time to think about it. But what a moment for him. I mean, really, just and the whole city, the whole town area of South Dallas. Congrats.
Mm-hmm.
You had Sock, you had DeSoto, Duncanville, all taking the state title. I don't know the last time that many Dallas area schools have won. Then Lido's right there in that same area.
Right.
So I mean, that the big classifications, the FW really dominated this year.
Yeah, they definitely did. And you're right. It was special for Coach Samples to finally get that ring. I think, though, my favorite game, even though this was exciting, I think the favorite game, and I picked the winner wrong, was Franklin. Franklin Brock. I think that was the best game in that nobody dominated. You did not have a clue who was going to win that one. It was going to be whoever had the ball last, and obviously Franklin ground out the time at the end and won the thing.
Yeah, there was those 3 games that stuck out. Obviously, the rest of them were kind of lopsided this year. You had Franklin, then you had China Springs. Those 2 winning with field goals at the end, which is always super exciting. But then you had this last classic, the 4th matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those they build all this up, the hype, and but it lived up to it. I mean, it really was back and forth. The speed and the athletes on the field, just amazing. I mean, it's just, and you said it, when you get to this last day, it's just kind of a step up. You see all this talent out there, and here in East Texas, we don't follow we just don't have a whole lot of big schools.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't follow them a whole lot, but just to see them in action is just eye opening. You can see why they have so many college offers for these schools, just because the size and athleticism of these players. And, Duncanville, I feel like they pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say they dominate, but they controlled most of the game. I feel like they deserve to win this one. North Shore stayed with them, but I feel like they were just trying to stay with Duncanville in this one as of, the way they normally play, where they're, normally pretty dominant, even when they're behind. It just felt like they were just kind of struggling a little bit to get anything going.
Well, the thing that I saw, which was uncharacteristic for a North Shore team, were all the penalties. There was a bunch of procedure penalties, just stupid things that back them up. I don't know how many times there was a 3rd and 28 or 36 or something. It was they just put themselves in such bad position that they needed a miracle. They got it once or twice, but you can't get it every time. And that's the situation they found themselves in.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that they put themselves where they had to drop back to a pass. Yeah. And that's when that Duncanville front was able to get to the quarterback. I know a couple of drives, those last two out of the last three, not the last one, but the two previous drives, they had sack after sack, just, basically getting their way. With the O-line of North Shore, they just couldn't keep them in check.
Yeah, no doubt. And you talked about being from East Texas, you don't get to see a lot of the big schools, and the thing I pointed out about the speed, when you've got 4,000 to 6,000 students, you can pick one or two deep, really fast players. Whereas, if you've got 800 students, you're lucky if you get one of those.
And we have speed in East Texas. Yeah. It's just not the magnitude as far as many
position. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're going to have your skill guys are going to be fast. Maybe a lineman here and there fast.
Right.
But just not across the board like that. It's just something it's fun to watch, just to get to sit back and enjoy it. That was just a great game.
Yeah, it was. And overall, it was a really good state championship, 4 days at AT&T Stadium. You alluded to it earlier that there were a lot of lopsided games, but
some impressive lopsided wins, though.
Yes.
When you get to this level, even in a blowout, you have to be really good to get here. So to blow out a really good team is impressive.
Well, yeah, I was thinking Aledo could break the scoring record the way they were going.
Oh, yeah, and they may have if they hadn't have let off the accelerator a little bit. I mean, it seemed to me when every time they touched the ball, I was like, okay, is this going to be a touchdown? That's how I felt in that game. I really did. Even on punt returns and kickoff returns, they were churning out 20, 30-yard returns. And I mean, you see that every once in a while, but just that consistently. They were putting themselves in great field position from the very beginning.
It was like playing Madden on rookie level.
Yeah, it really was. And you feel for College Station, getting there twice in a row and coming up short. But no offense to them, but they were just mismatched. They just did not have the speed and talent that we saw from Aledo. And that just shows you how good Longview is. Aledo took them the whole year. We talked about them knocking them off, and they beat the number one team all year long. Yeah. And Longview, that side of the bracket was just a little stronger.
Yeah, Longview came within 56 seconds in a lightning delay of being in this state championship.
And who knows if the weather was different, if they were in a dome, you don't know, but that's you got to play in the conditions that you're dealt with and Lido did, and they got here and they took advantage of it and got there. Well, I think what they saw is Carthage catch them and starting to catch the ring total. So like, oh wait, we can't let them get too close to us. So they had to add one as well. So now they've put themselves back to ahead of everybody at 11. I think Carthage is at 9, and there's one other team at 9.
Right. Yeah.
So let's see. Let me ask them one more time. They're supposed to be jumping in here. I don't know. I know they were watching the game. We talked about it back and forth a little bit today. And Vince gave me a little GIF with a funny grin, like he's seething to talk about his. Well, you say it's not his Dallas teams, but he was wanting to talk about.
I like how y'all adopt them. But either way, if he doesn't show up,
Hey, Chris, there is one thing though. If you don't like the ending, Can we replay this?
Of course we can. Only if we have the game Friday Night Legends, though.
That's right.
Yeah, and I tell you,
it's not too late. It's not too late to get that Christmas gift right now.
That's true. I've actually replayed North Shore and Duncanville several times using that game with different seasons teams to see maybe the first one that lost on the last second, that Duncanville team could beat some of those other ones. Actually, could beat the one they lost to also.
Yeah, and I think too, we didn't really talk about it a whole lot. The quarterback, losing the quarterback from North Shore. Yeah. I know they got all this way with not the starter, but that could have been a big difference, because what you did, you took a playmaker out the outside and had to put him at quarterback, and that takes
if you think about that, there's at least 3 teams that I know of that had the same thing happen. Wimberley lost their quarterback, went to China Spring, so they're playing with a backup. College Station lost their best player at the beginning of the season. So, but, I don't know if it's the path was, I guess, easy enough without them, or, either way, they all did well getting here.
Yeah, they did, but, getting there and then getting over that state game,
right?
When you're playing somebody with as much talent as Duncanville, that may have been a bigger factor.
Right, and all 3 of those teams who did lose a key player at the start of the season lost in the state title game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of those things that one player can make a difference. You may not notice it in every game,
right?
But eventually, if you come up against a tough enough opponent, then it's
if you're in 6-man, you'll see the big difference, like the player from Strawn who went over. But in one of these games, it's going to take won't make as big a difference.
We got a brave man coming on, Chris, with his Texans outfit on.
What's up, man?
What's up?
All right, well, give us your thoughts. We've kind of gone over our game, the 3 games today, Vince. Just tell us what you saw today.
The first game was not as good as I would have liked for it to be. It was kind of boring. Found myself kind of flipping channels every now and then.
Oh, I was falling asleep during that one.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, that was real bad. I mean, I don't know how you improve, to be that good and then get beat by like that. I don't know what you do to get better. Like that team it was like watching practice squad, an NFL practice squad, freshman team or something. Like it just like anything that they wanted, they were able to do.
Mm-hmm.
The next 2 games, DeSoto, I was happy they won. It did not start. Well, it didn't start the way I thought it was going to start. It was kind of a defensive struggle at first, but once they finally got the wheels rolling and everything, they eventually just it just kind of just took off, and they were able to I don't want to say capture that title easily, but they began to separate as the game went on, and you could tell that it just wasn't a whole lot left for man, I can't call a name now. I've already forgotten them.
Vandegrift.
Yeah, Vandegrift. Golly, but I mean, Vandegrift. They look good at times. They had a couple of plays here and there. It seemed to be like they couldn't just put together a successful drive. Like they struggled to do that. And then this last one here, I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was nervous because I wanted Duncanville to get this so bad, and I was like, they're about to mess this up. I was like, oh my God.
I was sure it was going to end like the first one.
Yeah. So I was just kind of on my heels the whole time, and I was in the kitchen. I was cooking some stuff, and while I was watching, so I was going back and forth. I'd hear, everybody screaming. I'd run to my phone. I'm like, oh, who did what? Who did what? the way it ended, you kind of respect those games that end like that. There's just it's nothing to be mad at. He didn't get the first down. I didn't think it was as close as they thought it was. They were calling it as if he had gotten it. I mean,
well, that's announcer drama.
Yeah, because I was like, man, I'm pretty sure from my screen it looked like he was a yard short. He was a yard short. So
I thought they gave him a generous spot on the field. Honestly,
they did. So, but those kind of games you just respect, when it ends that way, and I'm happy, man. It was a good day, good day of games. Dallas did the three-peat. They pulled off the Triple Crown. So there's nothing better than that, obviously. Great day of games, man. Just great day. Well, at least two of them anyway. So
nice. Well, cool. Like I said, I think it was a great season overall. I mean, we had a whole lot of really cool stuff going on especially at Gridiron, adding folks like you and just all the really, great coverage we had this year, the great feedback from all the fans. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah, I think we appreciate y'all, Chris. We got to kind of get into some of y'all's shows, and at the end of the season, we got to pick with y'all, and so it was actually an honor, a privilege to get to join y'all and get to help y'all out. We kind of just started this a couple of years ago, just covering one team, and kind of just branched out, and so we enjoy it. We don't always know what we're talking about. Sometimes we try to do our research, but more importantly, we like to entertain and give these fans something to tune in to every week. We will have one more show. We're going to wrap up do our kind of state championship wrap up. We'll talk about our picks that we had and all that stuff this Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. on netsn.live. So I'll come check it out. We will be talking each and every game of the state games. We'll have, we'll finalize our pick'ems. I believe with that last Duncanville, that officially brings back the champion back-to-back years. So we'll
he got it. He got it.
Yeah, see,
we'll try for it again next year.
You can always try. You can always try. It's okay.
I was close at one point. I had you sweating for a little bit. We had a tie for a while.
I was toying with you a little bit,
Corey, I don't know what we're gonna do with him. His picks are bad.
We need to. I don't know.
They're just bad.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna close it down, and we'll definitely be in touch.
All right.
Take it easy, Chris.
Everybody have a good evening.
Later. Peace.
Gridiron Warriors take the field in an epic battle that is larger than life. It is called Texas High School Football. Only one show can bring the greatest sport from the greatest state into focus. Lone Star Gridiron.
StarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more.